Hey,
Hi.
everybody! Welcome back to the MountainGeek Podcast. I'm Hunter Davenport,
And I'm Brian Bradley.
we are currently mourning the loss of my illustrious co-host Dylan Looney, as he's no longer with us as he's graduated. So we brought a familiar face on the show to be my co-host.
I'm very happy to be here with you.
Yeah, Brian Bradley. We've had him on the show a few times.
I was the best of the worst, but that was all that applied.
That's literally all we had that applied. Okay, so new semester, lot to talk about. Biggest thing on campus, besides everyone's impending worry for classes, the other impending thing on campus is the football stadium.
It's football season,
Yep.
Football time in Tennessee.
Oh yeah, big time. And you said move-in day was pretty hectic.
Move-in day was very chaotic. It was just a total madhouse of everyone trying to get by. You couldn't even parallel park without building up a line behind you.
Jeez.
And they had people in vests that were hanging around, and they only served to hinder you.
Just telling
they were just like, sir, you can't park while you unload. It has to be a
your car has to be in motion.
If you stop, we will tow you. And so it was just a disaster, but we got through it. Campus is dead now.
Well, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, everyone's resting up for all their classes tomorrow. Do you have any classes? What day are your classes?
Oh, my classes start tomorrow.
Oh yeah,
My schedule is a total madhouse. I'm not taking one thing this semester I'm supposed to be.
I actually don't have any classes tomorrow. I don't have any classes on Monday. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I don't have any classes on Friday.
Look at your boy.
Follow his example.
Follow me on Instagram
classes.
too. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at MountainGeek Podcast. Okay.
The obligatory plug. We got to do another one in 2 minutes.
Oh yeah,
Every 2 minutes.
Sponsors. We have to keep our sponsors happy. I'm actually not living on campus this semester, which is a new thing. But the football stadium actually looks really nice. It's on the southwest side.
It's finally done after its 2-year construction.
Yep, they knocked down a parking lot, and
everyone knows this.
Everyone knows it.
What they may not have known was that the total cost of it was about $26 million.
Oh, read the thing. Read the thing that you. This sounds like it sounds like an ad for some getaway vacation.
Located on the southern west corner of campus at the foot of Buffalo Mountain, the new stadium is expected to have a seating capacity of 7,000, plus a standing room for an additional 3,000.
Ooh,
and it will cost roughly $26 million.
Record scratch.
What?
$27 million for the football stadium. Where are they getting that money, you might ask? It's from you and me, from the students. And that is why tuition prices have went up. But it looks fantastic. It does. It looks very, very nice.
We were promised.
It's a nice visual addition to campus. Was it wanted? Needed? That's
very differing opinions. It's actually pretty controversial.
Mm-hmm. As what the faculty nor the students were asked if they wanted it. They just we're doing this. It's coming back.
As someone who is a member of the band, I was very happy that they brought it back, but we have to consider the big picture.
Yep.
I really enjoy it, and the band sounds amazing, and our football team's getting better every year.
Yep.
Next year, the seniors will have been freshmen whenever they first reassembled their team, and I'm expecting good things this year. But next year is going to be phenomenal. I hope.
Oh yeah. I actually plan on keeping up with the football this year. I've been kind of spotty because it's a new school, a new football program. But after the end of last season, they look pretty good. So I'm definitely going to keep up, and you can too. If you haven't received already 3,000 emails like I have from the last little bit from various offices around the school. If you haven't heard it before, you can hear it now. You can get your student tickets for free at the help desk in the Cult. If you don't know where that is, the big Culp Center, it's the big concrete building on the north side, south side of campus, and
it's got the Starbucks on the bottom floor.
Yeah, it's the main
where you go
campus
to eat.
building. Yeah, it's where the cafeteria is. If you go up the big ramp and just go in the front and go in those doors, the help desk, there's always someone there. And it's not 24 hours a day. But there's someone there from open until they from when they unlock the doors until they lock the doors. So all you have to do is go there, show your student ID, and they'll give you your tickets for free. And then you can just walk to the other end of campus and go sit in the student section.
I am planning on attending at least 2 games.
At least.
I have a younger brother who's in high school, and I'd really like to show him what a college band can do.
Oh, yeah. This semester is going to turn out pretty good, I believe. So, moving on to, as my illustrious co-host would say, moving on here to our first thing. What was the first thing we want to talk about?
A couple weeks ago, Netflix debuted their Castlevania series.
Oh, yeah.
And we definitely wanted to cover that.
If you'll recall, one of the last episodes you were on, we actually talked about Castlevania.
That was the only
Halloween
one.
episode.
The Halloween episode, and I did a little bit of Castlevania history.
Yep. For Castlevania, for those who aren't inclined, is a video game franchise dating back to the
SNES.
Yeah.
Those 80s,
NES days, yeah.
80s, 90s.
Konami is the publisher of it, and it's one of the most esteemed and one of the longest running game franchises ever.
It was the first horror game that Nintendo put their backing on.
Oh, yeah. It follows the Belmont family as they whip and kill vampires and other creatures of the night.
They throw knives and axes, and the series is actually based off the third game, Dracula's Curse, and it features the same protagonist, and all of the character designs have held up. I've actually seen parallels of events that happen in the series and in the game, and it's a pretty mature themed.
Yeah, it's gory. It's definitely very gory. I can't remember the rating now, but if it's MA, it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, I'm sure
for curse words and goriness. But
yeah, there's a lot of curse words.
It's good.
Couple fingers, a lot of guts.
Oh yeah,
some disemboweled children.
One disemboweled child.
Yeah, I think the writing is really phenomenal. There's only about 4 episodes out right now. It was a trial run. Mm-hmm. They wanted to put that out, and
really good. It's in an anime format,
and it's most reboots, since it stuck to the source material, it's been received very well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true to the game series and that universe's lore. And if you don't watch for anything else, the main character Trevor Belmont is actually voiced by Richard Armitage, the guy who played Thorin Oakenshield in the Hobbit movies.
Oh yeah,
yeah. If you recognize a voice, that's where you recognize it from.
He does a very good job. I'm very pleased with that and the choreography.
It is an animated series, and but I do have to say it looks gorgeous. The animation is incredibly fluid. The same animation studio did some of the later Naruto episodes.
Oh,
it wasn't the I can't remember the name of the studio, but. It's incredibly professional looking. You can tell it was high budget. Great voice acting in it. I mean, it's all around like a 9 out of 10 show.
You know, I've not heard completely positive things about Netflix original series, but most of the ones that I've watched, the ones that have genres that I enjoy, I've really enjoyed.
I mean, when it comes to Netflix original series, you have to be, it's an acquired taste, but it's definitely something worth getting into, almost always. And this is definitely a recommend from your boys at the Mountain Geek Podcast. Go and check that out. There's only 4 episodes. They're 30-minute episodes, half-hour episodes, or 20 some odd minutes.
They might be an hour.
They might be.
I believe they're an hour. It's hard to tell, because sometimes with the Netflix series, the first one will be an hour and they'll be 30 minutes.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
but
I think they are just 30-minute episodes.
Well, we'll say that they're 30 minutes, and then if they're an hour, you'll be pleasantly surprised.
It'll go by like 30 minutes.
I actually watched it again.
Yeah?
Like, the next day, I was like...
It is a great series. I've seen it twice, too. I watched it once by myself, and then once with my girlfriend and roommate. And it was phenomenal. I mean, it is a very well put-together series, and it's definitely a watch.
And... it's not afraid to show you some like mature themes, but it doesn't try too hard.
Right, exactly.
A lot of things, it's like, oh, look at it, look at the gore.
Also, there's a bunch of new stuff came to Netflix this time around. A bunch of old classic shows have been added, like The Addams Family, Dick Van Dyke Show. A lot of older stuff. I like watching the older stuff as I go to bed of an evening, so that's why I know. But Netflix has always got new stuff. Don't forget Hulu too. Don't sleep on Hulu. Hulu's got a lot of cool stuff. Especially, it's really great for you anime fans out there. Okay,
Hulu is like Hulu has a lot more series, and Netflix has a lot more movies.
Yeah, that's right. if you don't have a Netflix or Hulu account by now, are you even living in 2017?
Yeah, you watching commercials?
I mean, I really don't know anybody who doesn't have a Netflix account. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah,
I mean, like 10
sometimes
years
I
ago,
forget
10
that
years
it's a
ago,
charged
that's even-
service.
What?
Sometimes I forget that they charge you.
Yeah,
for it
it's almost like everyone just has it.
Yeah.
I mean, or someone who knows has it and parasites off the account. But or like
also very true.
I really don't know anyone who doesn't watch Netflix in one way or another, or some paid service like that. Mm-hmm. Let's switch gears to video games, because we can do that earlier now that we don't have Looney. he always made me wait till the very end to do video games.
Oh, he was just saving the best for last.
Oh, true.
He wanted to keep you engaged.
True. All right. But this is Brian's time to shine. One of his favorite franchises.
That is not true.
One of his favorite franchises from when he was a child.
Please don't out me like this on my first episode.
But it is the highest rated Sonic game in 15 years is out. Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania. Not only I bought it because I bought a Switch, and the only thing I've had on it is Breath of the Wild.
Fantastic game, by the way. We might talk about that later. We probably will talk about that later, but just
the short version is it deserves all the praise that it gets.
There we go. I'm sure you've heard about it. But anyway, back to Sonic Mania.
Sonic Mania is just made with love. Me and Eli, my younger brother, were actually joking that someone from Nintendo broke into Sega headquarters and made the game while everyone was asleep.
I've got all the files. I can finally do it.
And it was...
And yeah, Sega didn't publish it. Nintendo did, right?
No, I think Sega still published it because you can get it for PlayStation and Xbox too, I believe.
Oh, that's right.
And
that's right.
They've used the classic style, but everything is actually made from scratch.
Yeah, I figured they would just recycle / reboot a lot of that stuff.
They didn't. They also bumped up the frame rate on everything, and it's got a very classic look to it, a very classic feel. The soundtrack, which has always been one of my favorite things, is back exactly where it needs to be.
Just as you remember it.
Everything is like very aesthetically pleasing, and the biggest thing was I was on YouTube the other day and I saw footage from the actual old Sonic games, and oh man, it was like you don't notice going up, but then whenever you go back, like whenever you see old footage, it's like... And
so it is in a 2D format?
Yes, it is a 2D game, but it just has a lot of things that I feel like I'm past the age where I say, "Oh, this is the best game of the year," or "This is the best game ever." But it has very, very many things that make you say, "Oh, that was nice." Like genuine.
Oh yeah, just
like it's just little enjoyable.
Oh. Yeah.
And the stages are very well put together too, because the whole thing about going fast, you actually don't run into a lot of stuff. Like in the old Sonic games, I could never get into them because you would like
bump
run.
Into things,
you would go fast, like the game promised you could
for short periods of time.
You would just slam into something, or like But this has like super tight controls, and I haven't got all the Chaos Emeralds yet.
What?
And
how dare you even come on the show talk without having all the Chaos?
Do you even know how many Chaos Emeralds there are?
9? It's 6, isn't it? Okay.
I honestly can't tell if you're screwing with me. I honestly can't tell.
Okay, alright.
You mean the Chaos Emeralds.
You mean the Chaos Emeralds.
But all in all, it's not anything life changing. But like my friend said, it is the highest rated Sonic game in 15 years, and hopefully, if not just a nice throwback, it may actually set a new direction for a company that has been struggling ever since the 90s.
Maybe
they're not the worst out there.
Oh no, definitely not. Let's take a second to talk about Breath of the Wild again. I'm going to let my illustrious co-host take a lot of the helm because I've played just a bit of it.
I got a Switch for my birthday. It came out in March, and I was still at ETSU taking classes, and I thought,
and it was like nearing finals, so we were all like,
I know it was
none of us were doing anything.
It was like about at midpoint, and I thought, if I buy this, I will fail, because I've kind of learned that not to buy a lot of video games because I'm something of a completionist. I've turned into, and so that's why whenever a new game comes out, if it takes longer than like a week, I'm very hesitant. And true to that, I have spent about 3 weeks on Breath of the Wild. I took a break from work. I took it on vacation. which I'm freelance, so I can do that. I'm my own boss. So I have less money, but I have the experience. Yeah. And it just, basically the sum of it is that it deserves all the praise that it gets. I'm not going.
Let's keep it spoiler free because it's not a year old yet. But what are some of your favorite aspects about the game?
Everything feels really smooth. This is the first game. I don't know, like what kind of video games that you're into, but a lot of games have this mechanic called weapon breakability, which means the more you use it, like weapons will wear down. You'll have to repair them.
The one that comes to my mind is Dark Souls.
Yeah, mine is Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem games, the weapon. So even when you got a really nice weapon, like you can only use it a couple of times.
Don't use it all the time.
Yeah, so you have like the Irish Lance of Legend. And, you can only hit dude with it 7 times before it shatters, and then it's gone forever. Yeah. So it's like, oh crap. But they give you like so many weapons. You can pick up weapons off of enemies. The really nice weapons of the game can actually be reforged if you gather the materials for them. And then that actually makes the Master Sword that much better.
What is the Master Sword? Never breaks?
It can run low on energy, so don't use it to like bash rocks out in the woods.
Right.
But whenever it runs out of energy, it will come back after about 7 minutes. And it's just the Sword of Evil's Bane. They did a really good job. And the other thing is the story is not forced upon you. There's a lot of different takes on how games should tell their story, but in Breath of the Wild, you have to be actively seeking it out. You never stumble upon it. And even if you do, you can leave. So everything is optional, even like winning the game. If you could play that game for like 100 hours and never even like...
Not even touch the ending.
Yeah. Not even touch the story. But... you kind of want to do the story because the more you do it, it's very minute. It's very like tell you through the game instead of like stop. Allow me to show you a cutscene. Not naming names. The last Zelda game was very like that. The Skyward Sword came out for the Wii, and it was very like walk over here to get the cutscene. Now walk over here to get the cutscene. And I like it doesn't matter if I like the series or not. I can't let that pass.
Right.
Like, I'm not saying it's bad.
That's just bad game design.
What it is. It's not a game. It's a movie.
Right.
And lots of games like that I like. So not all games have to be the same.
I mean, it's like The Order 1886. That game had a lot of cutscenes and wasn't very long. I mean, it was not well received whatsoever. But I still found it incredibly enjoyable because, one, they worked the game into the cutscenes. It felt like the game never stopped.
Yeah.
But when you stop the game and have to go like into the cutscene, but like when in Order 1886, when it happens, when the cutscene happens, you're like, oh, this is a cutscene. Yeah. Instead of like a cutscene.
Yeah. Like, now
you're trying to move around. It's like, oh, this is a cutscene. It's like you don't automatically know, and that's wonderful. I love it when that happens.
I'm actually like very impressed with my roommate because he has waited until I came back, and now he is currently playing it. And I feel like if the fire alarm went off, he wouldn't leave.
Oh wow.
He could though, because the Switch turns into a portable handheld.
Buy the Switch. Do it now.
Buy this. But the battery life on it is really impressive because I took it on a car ride to Minnesota, and I guarantee you my laptop wouldn't have lasted that long if I was playing a game on it. It lasts like several hours, and I bought a car charger, and like
nice.
Even in high definition, still like runs the game. It never lags. And
that is impressive.
You can still charge it up
because the game's whole CPU is in like the little screen thing.
Yeah, it's just like this big. The console's this big. And what really sold me on it was I was playing it at home and the power went out. And so the room goes dark and it goes ping, and it's like in handheld mode, and so you just put the controllers back on, and I played it for like 20 minutes,
and then the power came back,
and the power went back on, ting, and like
kept playing.
The controller
never stopped.
The controller was a little charged up because, and no other system can do that. If your PlayStation 4 turns off, it gets so mad at you.
You have to unplug. You have to turn me off before you unplug.
Not sleep mode, not rest mode.
No, it's when next time you turn it back on and beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, it makes you it makes you wait.
Sign an agreement. Don't ever do this again to me.
I thought I could trust you. And so I'm actually hoping, because Nintendo, I'm a big Nintendo buff. I kind of like everything that they've done.
Right.
I appreciate it, at least. And they've been pushing a lot under their handheld consoles recently to help them stay relevant.
Yeah.
A lot of things came out for the 3DS that never came out for the Wii U. And I heard it was very hard to make games for the Wii U.
Really?
That was why, because I bought a Wii U, and I have 4 games for it.
And it was out for how many years?
I remember it was at least 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, probably about 4 years.
And so that was why the Switch's release was a little abrupt. But Nintendo has contacted a lot of third-party game designers.
Yeah, they're letting in a lot of third-party games in, and it's really given a lot of meat to their game listing.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm very excited for what that holds.
Yeah, absolutely. No news in the PS4 department. A lot of things coming. I will let you know when they're confirmed. One thing I'm looking forward to is Shadow of War, the sequel to Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah.
You get to play as Talion again if you're familiar with the Shadow franchise, I guess is what they're calling it now. But it's set in Middle Earth, Lord of the Rings style lore. And it's between the Hobbit movies and the Lord of the Rings movies. It's in the time between that while Sauron's gathering his army. You have to say it like that.
Yeah, if you don't
why would you even say it then?
Don't get the game.
Don't get it
if you don't say it like that.
But this is about Talion amassing his own army with Celebrimbor, the spirit that lives within him, known as the Bright Lord, versus the Dark Lord. Get it? Bright, dark. Okay. And and there's a lot of the enemies are a lot more dynamic, and as far as the game goes, it's looking just a lot more polished as a PS4 game. Actually, Shadow of Mordor came out for the PS4, but it was one of the first games out for the PS4,
and they did a really good job with it.
And they did a great job with it. Shadow of War is looking graphically pretty impressive. It kind of looks about the same though, which could be a good or bad thing. If they haven't focused that much on the graphics, that means they focus that much more on the gameplay. Mm-hmm. Everything else about the game, the mechanics, how enemies work, and all that. And Shadow of Mordor proved to us that they really care about their enemy system. And if they keep it or if they tweak it a little bit, it's still going to be really, really cool. All right, let's switch gears here again. Back to Netflix.
Back to
watch things you can watch,
because there haven't been any movies that came out really recently.
Dunkirk was fantastic. If you haven't go see that, it's fantastic. It's about one of the greatest war civilian victories in war history. So
a couple of highlights from this summer were, of course, the superhero movies: Guardians, Spider-Man: Homecoming, and Wonder Woman. Have you seen Wonder Woman?
I have not.
Wonder Woman.
Is it good?
It's phenomenal. There are just so many things that I like about it. And one of our friends, the history major, he went and saw it yesterday. Ooh. And he made us sit down while he told us this is all historically accurate. They got World War I artifacts to use in their movie. They really did a good job explaining the character. They got a fantastic actress. And if you've ever liked a Marvel movie and then you've ever watched a DC movie and been disappointed, go watch Wonder Woman, because I'm not a big fan of this versus this, but I really do think that Wonder Woman could be the new face of DC. I think that would set them ahead.
Wonder Woman's always been a fantastic hero ever since Linda Carter popularized her in the 1960s TV show.
Yes,
but I mean, and I actually saw a picture of Linda Carter with Gal Gadot.
Oh wow!
They were posing together. I think it was at the movie premiere. They were posing together. It was really cool. That was really neat to see.
Yeah,
generations.
Yeah, you got to send me that.
Oh yeah,
do I? I want to see that because
I'll show it to you.
And then that alone can kind of make you excited for the Justice League, because Batman vs Superman was
it was all right.
It got medium reception. Wonder Woman has been very well received, and it's not hard to see why.
That is true. Okay,
I like praising stuff, but I like telling you why I like it.
It's not bad to praise things. Okay, talking about the Defenders.
And now
Marvel. We're not going to talk too much about this because we haven't seen the whole series.
Well, we wanted to watch a little bit of it so we could give you a spoiler-free review.
Iron Fist, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, and Daredevil are all coming together in one series.
And they are not happy about it.
They're not... They're very reluctant, to say the least.
This is sort of the anti-hero version of... The Avengers. You get that same fan servicey goose pimple chill that you get whenever Captain America and Iron Man are kind of bad mouthing each other, and they fight a little bit, and there are some fight scenes between them, but it's a clash of cultures as well, because Luke Cage is my current favorite superhero, and I've been keeping up with all of them. But I really love Luke Cage. I really like his story. I really like the actor. I really like his mannerisms. Mm-hmm. And they don't mesh that. They don't just mesh it together into one thing. When they're switching around between the characters, it feels like you're watching that individual series.
Yeah. And when they film each of the individual characters, they film it like they film their show. Mm-hmm. So you could. It's like an upbeat rhythm of Harlem. While Luke Cage is walking down the street with with talking to some cop or something, and then it switches over to Jessica Jones, and she's in this dark, dingy apartment, and the only light source is the light from her laptop, and she has whiskey sitting everywhere. Yeah. And it's totally different, and it flows really well, despite the genres being so different.
Iron Fist, it's the highbrow side of New York City. He's the owner of the company.
He lives in the Upper East Side,
And that actually brings me into my next thing, which I'm sure some of you want to know. Can you enjoy this if you haven't watched all 4 of the series, or even any of them? And the answer to that is yes. You will have to give it some leeway the less you've watched.
Because you won't know as much.
And I'm sure that people will tell you, no, you have to watch all 4 of them. But I actually ended up giving Hunter the short version of Iron Fist because he hadn't got... I only watched it because I was working on something.
I've seen the other 3.
I had to wait on it, and I didn't have anything to do, so I actually watched a couple episodes, and then I was hooked.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job, because you would think a superhero in New York... it would tell the same story 4 times, but they're all incredibly different because
they're all incredibly
different. If you've ever been to New York has so much to offer, and they really just capture different sides of it.
Exactly.
And so none of them feel the same. Even Daredevil and Iron Fist, who are both Daredevil knows karate, and Iron Fist knows kung fu.
Okay.
Because one was
he trained with monks in China.
Yeah. So. You would think this white dude that knows how to fight, but the stories are still very differently dynamic. Daredevil is actually the only one out of the group that has a secret identity, and he's mocked for it at one point because he's like, "Don't look at me! Don't tell him! I need to protect the people I love."
Yeah, at one point, Iron Fist comes up in that meeting room where all the bad guys are. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And he's like, "This is who I am. I'm about to kill all y'all."
I'm Danny Rand. I own a big company. I'm also the Iron Fist, and you have nothing on me. And they try anyways. They try to take him down, and that's
there's a scene where they all are in the same hallway together, but for different reasons.
Yeah,
it's they're kind of doing this now, but eventually they'll get on the same.
And they do. And if you have never watched any of the Netflix series, but you're a fan of the movies, they do reference it a lot. It all happens in the same universe.
Yep.
They commonly talk about the incident,
which is the events of the first Avengers movie.
The battle in New York. One of the cops in Luke Cage says, "Unless this badge turns into a magic hammer, we can't do crap."
Yeah.
He doesn't say crap.
Right.
So, yeah, be warned. There's a swear.
There's a swear. All right, folks. Time's winded down, so it's time for Pick of the Week. So, something you've been into this week that we haven't talked about yet.
Well, why don't you do yours first?
Okay. My Pick of the Week is the Summer Games event for Overwatch. I have been addicted to this. Of course, Overwatch is something that a lot of people that have talked a lot about on the show. But the summer events coming out, they put a whole lot of new skins, new voice lines. It constantly amazes me how fresh Blizzard keeps that game. Mm-hmm. And as long as it's been out. They put a lot of love into it, and they put a lot of time into it, and a lot of money into it too, and it definitely shows. That event's going on. It actually ends tomorrow, but the next event is going to be the Spooky Scary Halloween event and the new competitive season. So I'm looking forward to that. You got one?
Yes, I do. I just thought of one. I don't know how many of you have watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but the season 3, which is its most famous part, the Stardust Crusaders, is currently being dubbed.
Toonami.
On Toonami. It comes on every week, and they have...
What time? What day?
It comes on like Saturday night.
Saturday night?
Yeah, when Toonami comes on.
Yeah.
I don't know the I don't know the time. I just set the DVR to record it.
Right. I think it's midnight.
And it's just started. It's on its like
fourth or fifth episode.
Polnareff was last week, so it's on its 6th episode. And they did a short OVA to test run the voice actors, and they did the first 4 episodes, and it's currently on its 6th. So if you've seen that, this is a great time to get in on it. And
it's a great series to get into. If you're worried about missing some episodes, they're available online. A lot of them are. You just, especially with your cable provider. Mm-hmm. But even if you don't go look up the past episodes, if you where it is in the show right now, if you go and get into it, you will thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, and
beefy amount of episodes. I mean, it's nothing to scoff at all.
There are 40 to 50
heavy hitting voice acting. It's just in a phenomenal show written by a phenomenal writer.
And it was actually written back in the 80s, and this redux of it has just come out, and it's repopularized the series. And I know you've heard the name because it's very unique.
Is that a JoJo's reference?
But if you like smart fighting, just fighting in general, vampires, superpowers, like
fans of Full Metal Alchemist, Dragon Ball Z will like this a lot.
People that were a fan of 80s rock.
Yeah, you will notice that, and you will notice everything is a JoJo's reference, but everything in JoJo's is a 70s, 80s, 90s pop rock and roll reference. And all the enemies are named after songs or artists.
Yeah, there's Steely Dan, Vanilla Ice, Dio is named after Ronnie James, and so it's really fun to pick. See which ones you can pick out, and then look up the ones you didn't know.
There you go.
And if you want me to lay it all on the table, the reason that a JoJo's reference is a meme is because the series is so unique that there's really nothing else like it. And
Clint Eastwood himself has said he's a JoJo's fan.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, an American old dude is a fan of an anime.
But the anime is based off of old American culture.
It's you can see there's a lot of Western influence in it, and Hirohito Araki is a phenomenal writer, and he really respects like all the things he writes about, and it just turns out fantastic.
Mm-hmm. You could tell he really enjoys his work. And it was written back in the 80s, like I said, and that was the age of muscles. That was when Schwarzenegger was really big, and that's why all the characters look like that. That's why they're all like
beefy.
I'm a normal 17-year-old high school student. And so, like, really just give it a try. You can get into. If you're not into it in about the first 5 episodes, then like, and that's really how you tell if a series is good. If it can like hook you in the first 5 episodes. I've watched some series that after 100 episodes, I'm still not into it.
Right.
And so some of them can get you. I think when we watched it. We watched the first episode together, and we were hooked the first one. Just the stuff that was happening and the way they were presenting it, we're immediate fans.
All right, folks, we're getting low on time, so we will see you back here next week. All right? Be sure to come back. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at MountainGeekP and on Facebook at MountainGeek Podcast. We're linked through the. I think we're linked through the to our SoundCloud. Through the official ETSU page now. I think we actually have a little thing on there now, which is fantastic. Yeah, we're hitting the big times. We post every week, so be sure to come back. All right, see y'all.
All right, bye.